Hi everyone, welcome back to this review of our American Yawp textbook 1302. This will be the volume 2 of the American Yawp, and thank you for joining me for chapter 18. This chapter is titled Life in Industrial America, and this chapter focuses not only on the rise of industry, but the massive wave of immigration, the explosive growth of cities, and the changing social landscape of the late 19th century. So let's dive into this. Now keep in mind, this does not cover all the aspects of the information. There's going to be some things that gets left out, but if you want a good, broad overview, this is the place to be. Now in the late 19th century, this was a time of incredible industrial growth, and the era is going to be marked by a massive influx of immigration. So between 1870 and 1900, millions of immigrants are arriving in the United States seeking better opportunities. And these folks are coming from Southern and Eastern Europe, places like Italy, Russia, and Poland, joining the earlier waves of immigrants from Northern and Western Europe. In the early part of the 19th century, we saw many folks from Germany and from Ireland and places like that. Now we're seeing them come in from areas where English is not quite as a familiar language, and the cultures are going to be significantly different than those earlier waves from prior to the Civil War. Now these new immigrants are going to flood into cities like New York, Chicago, and Pittsburgh. They're going to provide labor needed for rapidly expanding industries. And immigrants are going to look immigrants often took the hardest, lowest paying jobs, working in dangerous conditions in factories, mines, and steel mills, mainly because they are coming without skills. Now, that doesn't mean that they are unskilled. They knew how to do the things that they had done in their previous lives in their home countries, but those lives are different here. And so if somebody's offering you money, you're going to take the job. And these jobs are often dangerous, very difficult, and the conditions were not good whatsoever in many cases. Now, urbanization is one of the defining features of this period. As industries grew, so did cities. And by 1900, about 40% of Americans are living in urban areas. And that's up from 20% just a few years before in 1860. Cities become crowded, noisy, dirty. Pollution from factories is going to be a constant thing. Poor sanitation. And of course, there's the lack of adequate housing. Now, living conditions in many urban areas is going to be pretty grim. Tenement buildings, where many of the working class families lived, are often overcrowded, unsanitary, and this leads to the outbreaks of disease. Now, these are challenges, but cities are also going to be places of opportunity and excitement. Immigrants are going to form tight-knit communities, creating ethnic neighborhoods or ethnic enclaves where they can maintain their cultural traditions while adapting to life in America, while they go through that process of assimilation. Now, while many immigrants saw America as a land of opportunity, they often faced discrimination and hostility. And the term that we use here is nativism, a belief that native-born Americans were either superior to immigrants, or there's a fear by native-born Americans that these new cultures are going to change the way their lives are. This was on the rise. And many Americans feared that immigrants would take jobs away from native workers or bring radical political ideas like socialism and anarchy. Now, this fear was reflected in laws like the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, which severely restricted Chinese immigration. There'd be some other ones as well, but this is the first immigration law in American history. Immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe are going to face discrimination because many of them are Catholic, many of them are Jewish, and this fuels anti-immigrant sentiment along with the predominantly Protestant population. Now, amidst these challenges, cities are also going to be centers of innovation and cultural change. Urban life led to the development of new public institutions like schools, libraries, and hospitals. And as cities tried to accommodate these growing populations, schools, it is said, will be the instrument of assimilation. You come from another country, your kids go to school, they start to learn the language, they start to learn the culture. And many times it's going to cause a significant cultural difference between parents and child. And so we might even see that some today in our modern world. Middle-class Americans began to moving to newly developed suburban areas, leaving inner cities and the poor and working classes in those inner cities. And a part of what contributes to this is reforms or innovations in transportation, streetcars, electric streetcars, trains and this sort of a thing, even subways in some cities. Now, social reformers like Jane Addams, they're going to seek to address social problems caused by industrialization and urbanization. And Addams founded the Hull House in Chicago, which I believe we've mentioned before in an earlier video. This is one of the first settlement houses to help immigrants and the urban poor by providing education, childcare, and health care. You go to Chicago today, it's a National Historic Monument. You can go visit the Hull House. I've not done it, but I've seen it on travel guides and such. Now, immigrants also played a significant role in shaping urban politics. Political machines like New York's Tammany Hall are going to court immigrant votes by providing services in exchange for political loyalty. And while these machines are often corrupt, they provide much needed support for new arrivals trying to navigate life in American cities. Again, we're dealing with a period of time when the government is not always able to help, or we're talking about a laissez-faire kind of a time period when the government just has its own thing to do, and dealing with social problems is not really going to be one of those things. Now, to sum it up, this industrial growth of the late 19th century transformed not only the economy, but also social and cultural fabric of American life. Immigrants fueled this growth, and they shaped the character of the cities where they lived. But this period also sees a rise in nativism. It challenges the idea of America as a melting pot. And cities become places of incredible opportunity as well, but also of hardship and inequality, sparking a rise in reform movements that sought to address many of these problems. So thank you for joining me for this review of Chapter 18. Like and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much, and have a great day.